Last week in the swamp ass heat of Alabama, we kept our eyes on the prize, worked our way from 40th and stayed with the lead pack for 2 rounds of pit stops and just rode it out. We survived a close call when Rosie the Riveter and Rosa Parks made contact near us, and Rosie took that vicious hit in the inside wall a la Mark Martin. Toward the end of the race, we were just battening down the hatches, waiting for the end of the race there, and the stars just didn't align. We just weren't able to get a push at the right time for the win. Velma Dinkley and that ass got the win. But the win isn't everything, because now we are the Heinz Packet points leader after the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man's rough finish at Talladega. But this is a mirage with our point system. We have 4 races to go, and when this race starts, as soon as the green flag falls, we're 20 points behind Stay Puft. He's starting 20, 22, 23, 22 positions ahead of us, something like that. But yeah, we have 6 drivers within 35 points. We'll be hanging out with Neil Armstrong. We'll keep an eye on Neil Armstrong in this race. We'll be starting with him at the back of the pack. And also, since we'll be taking the top 10 AI drivers each season and setting them aside for a future Legends series, P12 in the standings is the actual pervert seat, because then you're not going to be able to get into the top AI 10. So that distinction goes to Hannibal Lecter this time, with Michael Bolton out of nowhere actually in the top 10. And with 4 races to go, everything equal, these might actually be the end standings, but I don't know. Anyway, let's hit up Kansas. All right, setting up to go here in the Bluth's Bananas 400 at Kansas. 4 races to go in our season. We have Texas, North Wilkesboro, and 1980s Atlanta. Andy Warhol, hopefully he can actually start this race instead of what happened at Talladega. He's on the pole up there with Rosie the Riveter. Michael Jackson barely hanging on to a point situation, like a championship situation, so he needs a good one. And we're starting back here with Neil Armstrong, Wayne Campbell in front of us, and Super Dave Osborne, all top 10 championship players. So we got some cars to hang with this race. And we're off. My name's Adam. Thanks for checking out the video. I had downloaded a more modern version of Kansas, but it was just a single file kind of racetrack. Really didn't get good racing, which bummed me out, because it was a fast track, but and then whenever I cranked up this Kansas that came with the game, I realized I've never even run on this track. Maybe years and years ago, before YouTube, I did. So, and when it basically feels like I downloaded a new track, and there's just something to be said about the people who made the game knowing what goes into making a good feeling racetrack in terms of the racing. There's some community members do a great job, but like I said, I felt like I downloaded this track, and then when I put it in, I'm like, wow, this is great. And then that's because those people actually made the game, so they knew, they knew what went into making an excellent track. But there's just good tire wear here, good racing lines. I say that now, and then there's gonna be some weirdo wreck or something coming. Oh, like that. We're fine. We are running close to real world 2003 speeds here. I looked at the pole speed for that race, and then watched the Banquet Foods 400. And then I watched that and timed some laps whenever they would keep a car on camera for their entire lap during the race under race conditions, and we're going to be kind of close to real world here. So meanwhile, that Kansas I downloaded, yeah, you know, tracks are getting repaved and everything, but like going like 200 miles an hour into turn 1 and stuff. Tell you what, couldn't ask for a better start here. Starting on the inside, that helped a bunch. And if I was a betting man, I'd say bet on us winning the championship. 'Cause I'm in the zone. I'm in the zone right now. But again, that all goes to shit if Mona Lisa Vito blows her engine right here, and we have nowhere to go. We'll keep an eye on Mr. Rogers. He's up there on the inside line. He's already made some moves. He has 3 consecutive top 10s. He's going for that elusive 4th here today. And of course, D.B. Cooper and Rosa Parks are the current record holders with 5 straight top 10s. Yeah, went up to the high line to see what was here, and nothing was here. I haven't raced with the AI a whole bunch here. Just ran my usual, you know, pit window configuration, tune in the AI laps, and that was it. This is the last time we'll be running the InGen helicopter car. Wow, let's not go to the high side again, because we've lost all those spots we gained early in the race. We're fine. Yeah, only 3 races to go after this. That'll be the T-Rex will be next race. Then the black car at North Wilkesboro. And then the Jeep car at Atlanta. Not sure who I'm going to be running as in the truck in the next silly season. But it's fitting that we're in Kansas, and you'll probably see the billboards in the turns. I've customized 99% of them. This is Kansas. This is Dorothy's home track. Dorothy announced before the race, during the race festivities this weekend, that she is fielding a truck team for our next silly season. Ruby Tuesday restaurant chain seems like it's going to be the sponsor. Yeah, I'm starting to sing my farewells to some of these cars. Some of these fictional, the AI drivers who don't finish in the top 10 of AI drivers. That's probably going to be it. We'll never see them again. Unless, you know, the technological singularity hits and we can live forever in a computer, then I'll have all the time in the world. Until, you know, the sun, until the sun burns out to run seasons. So we'll probably eventually come back and revisit this group of cars. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about right now. But yeah, this is going to be it. This is going to be the last time we see a lot of these guys. Yeah, but we'll have time for tears at Atlanta. We'll start cracking the whip here, getting back into the race. 15 laps in, on the 30-ish, mid-30s pit window. And tires are an issue here. Doesn't seem like they are just because we've been in the pack. And I've noticed that pattern through all of my testing of tracks, that we definitely don't wear down the tires like we do when we're on our own. But you can see this is an evenly matched deal here with Indiana Jones. AI difficulty is holding up so far. Yeah, promising start to the season for Indiana Jones. I think he was the points leader for a couple races. He had won the second race in Atlanta, and then that's it. I think I put up a graphic somewhere that he had 3 top 10s in the first 5 races, and then he just hasn't had one since. Now, I didn't check the top 10s before this, so he may have had one since I put that graphic into a race a few races ago, but jeez Louise. And a big storyline also is Andy Van Slyke. Andy Van Slyke is the only car remaining that does not have a top 5 after Velma Dinkley got her top 5 in grand fashion with a win in Talladega. We're going to dive on Neil Armstrong a little bit here, because if we didn't, Indiana Jones was going to be in that ass. And I didn't want to deal with that. The benefit of starting at the back of the pack is we can keep an eye on DNFs, cars smoking, going down pit road. We haven't seen anything yet. Now here's something too. The only way all the tuning in, the AI difficulty and everything, the only way that works is if you race during the race like you would in a real race. And I've never driven a race car, so I don't know. But I mean, just don't be a dick, you know? Like we could it's highly probable that we can just really tear the car up this race, the tires, and just bully these cars aside and gain a bunch of spots. But we just can't do that. I mean, we just gotta, it's part of the whole deal. Rosie the Riveter in the lead here. Michael Jackson in second, Andy Warhol third. Only top 10 points driver that I recall is Steve Jobs. He is in 10th. The only top, I forget what I was going to say, but you can see the standings. He's the only top 10 points driver in the current top 10s in the race. And then we got DB Cooper, P11. Homer Simpson needs a big one here. And Stay Puffed. I don't think he's actually gained a spot yet. I think he started 19th. And Randy Marsh is making moves. Wayne Campbell's moved up to 26th. P26. Meanwhile, he started 33rd, so he's gained some spots. And we're going into a turn here, so I'm not paying attention to those standings anymore. And we got Neil Armstrong on us. Let's get out of there. And Super Dave Osborne's made some progress ahead of us as well. Happy Gilmore, he had a solid stretch of races this season. Was in the top 10 for I think 3, 4, 5 races. And he had a couple of bad ones. I'm trying to remember what they were. Michigan, maybe? Or he had a late penalty, and then he had something happen at Richmond where Prince hit him. And those races were back-to-back. And then I think the Tootsie Roll 400 at Daytona to kick off the second half of the season, he didn't stay near he was in the back pack there and could never really gain many spots. And I think that was kind of was the final nail in the coffin on his season. Yeah, with we're starting to feel tire wear now, and that's just fantastic. Like that's what I want to feel. Like a lot of these newer tracks I download, you just don't have to factor in tire wear as much. You can just run balls out, and you don't have to really factor in tire wear. And of course, we run those modified fuel windows, so the tire wear sometimes doesn't really come into play. But it comes into play at certain tracks. Rockingham, we saw here, the tire wear is going down pretty quickly. And I love having to manage that through a run and having to adjust my line in order to run the fastest lines possible as the tires wear. Like, that's just some of the best stuff. And I hate when new tracks come and they're just like, there's just no wear to speak of. Or there is wear, but it's just, you don't have to really factor it into how you drive in the later runs to maintain your speed in the later part of runs to maximize your lap times, you know. All right, so this feels better than Nashville. Nashville, we started at the way back, and that was just an existential crisis of a race. But here, this is a good difficulty here. Again, once I'm not surprised. It's a Papyrus stock track that came with the game. And it did exactly what I thought it was going to do when I started trying to adjust the AI's lap times. It was just great. I do think they have us beat at the end of the run here, though. And that's even on reasonable tires. Trying not to spook them there. I mean, if Neil Armstrong was a true champion, he would have somehow gotten around us there, but we were able to hold him off. We're going to track down Super Dave. Not sure when pit stops are happening here. Hopefully soon. Because if we go to lap 35, we'll have lap 35, 70, and then 105 getting close to the window. And then lap 36 would actually, depending on lap 36, would actually take us past the final lap of the race. I would hate for some weird window to affect the Heinz Packet points race. Guessing they started racing side by side back there because we pulled away. Just keeping an eye on pit road. Yeah, there's nothing glamorous about running 37th at Kansas, but no one said everything would be glamorous when you're in the grind for the Heinz Packet Championship. We do want to gain some spots here, though. Texas coming up next. We, you know, starting near the front would be great. But I don't know. I'd want to get into the mid-20s here eventually. And start in the teens at Texas. Alright, we got some moves here. Okay, that's good. Lap 34. Lap 34.68. And then we're going to have, if this goes green, we're going to have splash and goes, man. At the end. That'll be intoxicating. Let's just hope there's no merging issues here. And we'll be in good shape. I did one quick test of pit road entry here. So we'll see if I learned something or not. Thankfully, we're in good shape here because we can use Super Dave. Let's remember we're early on pit road and we're with a lot of drivers that are pitting back here. So they'll be dipping and diving just like Super Dave did there.
We'll give you 1 can of fuel.
I have nothing to write about. Like I mentioned, I usually write something down during a pit stop of something that happened during the first run or during that run, and nothing's, I can't think of anything.
Go, go, go! The leader's pitting now. Limit 45. Keep it under 3,500.
That was very nice of Neil Armstrong. He let us go. He sensed that we were coming out.
Speed now. Keep it on 3,500 in second. Okay, you're clear of pit lane.
I'm guessing Neil's going to catch back up to us anyway. Oh man, Randy Marsh is back here. Homer Simpson, I don't know what happened to Homer.
Okay, merge when you can.
But he's back here. Ray Finkel. Or is he back here or are we up here? Was there a group of cars that just had a really bad run? Doesn't seem like Homer Simpson's ready to dance yet. Up to speed. No, I mean, we're P39, so something must have happened to the big cars because I see Michael Jackson up here.
Car outside. Stay low. Clear.
Ooh, this is a dream on new tires. Yeah, it didn't happen to a lot of drivers because Rosie the Riveter was in the lead. She's still in the lead. Randy Marsh was in the 20s, I'd say, before stops. Marshmallow Man still in 19th, hasn't gained any ground. Oh boy, I saw DB Cooper is now P5. Hell, I didn't even talk about him in the points breakdown before the race. We got 2 top 10 drivers behind us, which is good. And the goal here absolutely is trying to get into the mid-20s, or just the 20s period somehow. Now, we noticed our tires were a little bit worn at the end of that first run, so we're not trying to plow through the whole field here and win the big race. We're just slowly and methodically trying to gain spots here. As I said, not the most glamorous situation, but got to win this championship. And with 67 laps to go here in Kansas, Rosie the Riveter still in the lead. DB Cooper P5, Marshmallow P19, Wayne Campbell P23, Mona Lisa Vito P27, Super Dave P32, Randy Marsh P34, Homer Simpson and Neil Armstrong behind us.
Well, I'm sure you needed it, Annie. Did you get many spankings as a kid?
As a kid, no. No, wait.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
That's not what I meant. I meant I was a little... I'm not... never mind. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. I'm really embarrassed.
All right, we're racing. We were following Indy for a while. And they started getting to side-by-side racing, which has actually led to Neil Armstrong catching us from behind. And Homer Simpson is 3 laps down now. I didn't know. I don't think he was a lap down when we initially saw him after pit stops, but he most likely is just gone on pit road and had an issue with something. And during the commercial, I forgot to check what happened with Michael Jackson. Why he moved from the front of the pack to the back. Because I got bigger fish to fry right now, man. That was a long shot for him anyway. Him staying up front, he would need a lot of pieces to fall in place for a real shot at the championship. So, I mean, unless it's something wild like Rosie the Riveter smacking the inside wall, I'm not going to be covering a bunch of stuff about the other cars. AT&T Lily has overtaken Rosie the Riveter for the lead. What a tragic season for Lily as well. She was looking pretty good for the longest time. And then I think I threw up a graphic at Martinsville that she hasn't had or she's had 2 top 10s since something just abysmal. We're at the halfway mark, or we're a little bit past halfway, but we'll just count them here. Martha Stewart, Hannibal Lecter, and Prince getting bonus points. And I was actually thinking in the seasons going forward, instead of doing halfway mark bonus points, we'll do 3 fastest AI laps of the entire race get bonus points. And you can always find those in the replay analyzer program. And it's still the same randomness as our 10, 20, 30. So going forward and trying to compare seasons, season to season, it's still going to give us a consistent point system because it's consistently random. All right, Indy making a hole for us. We got to take advantage of this. We're about 10 laps from pit stops. Yeah, I mentioned Dorothy fielding a team in our next series, the truck series. If you have any more suggestions, leave a comment. And also, if you're listening to this race right now, that means you're all in, That's awesome. Thanks for watching. I mean, you're obviously getting some enjoyment out of it. That's awesome. Just a heads up, I'm going to open up the entries to I've mentioned in the previous videos how with that silly season I want to just have commenters randomly pick a car. They don't even know what car it is, and then when that season starts, you'll see what car you have. And then out of all the commenters that pick a car, the highest finishing AI car, or truck in that case, the highest finishing AI truck in that season, whoever, whatever commenter has that truck will win 50, 100 bucks, I don't know, something, some kind of gift card. But what I don't want to happen is mention it at the beginning of the race and have somebody who, you know, doesn't really follow all the races, doesn't comment much, but then they hear this and they're like, oh, free 100 bucks? What do I have to do? Oh, just tell this clown to pick a number? Like, and then they'll be like, oh, hey, Steve. They'll just call up their friend, or people don't call each other anymore, but he'll text his friend Steve and Jeff and Roger, like, hey, go on this stupid YouTube channel and just put in a number, and then hopefully 6 months from now you win 100 bucks. Like, I don't want that to happen. I would rather subscribers and commenters that I recognize take precedence in that. And one of the ways for that to happen is for you to, even beginning this race, leave a comment with a number between 1 and 39. Not going to be 1 through 40 because we're one of the 40 cars, and you can't pick me, or the 40 trucks. 1 through 39. And then before that season eventually starts, you'll have that number alphabetically in the field. As an example, Velma Dinkley, say she was alphabetically last in our series roster. If you had picked 39, you would have her. You wouldn't know you had her until the field is set and everything's alphabetically sorted. And you won't know that until, I don't know, before the Daytona 500. I would post it on a YouTube post or whatever. But so that's the plan. Start putting in your numbers in the comments. And I mean, it's 100 bucks. Maybe. It might even be 50. So if you're trying to game the system and be like, hey, Jeff, put in a number here, and ideally, how the law of, you know, how you should be doing it if you're not a dummy, is getting all these people to join so you have a better chance of winning, but then you all split the winnings. So say it's 100 bucks and you have 3 of your friends join in, and whoever wins, you have a 4 in 39 chance of winning now instead of a 1 in 39 chance. But now you're only going to get 25 bucks if that's how you guys decide to do it. Then there's going to be also some clowns that have multiple YouTube accounts. I don't know. There's really no way to police that. The only way to police that, hopefully, is just sneaking it in here in the middle of a race that not a lot of people will be listening at this time, and that will benefit people who do watch the races, you know. Anyway, we got pit stops coming up here in about 2 laps.
Clear. Inside. Keep high.
Because those started at 34.68 and 102. And we're feeling our we're yellow this time on our tires because we had some more free rein. Plus I was just gabbing it up there for a while, not really executing the turns perfectly.
Clear.
And now we're running high just to avoid any pit rotary nonsense. And we'll go in with Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is in front of us. See when he goes in and go in with him. Hopefully he goes in this lap. I would love to go in this lap. No, nobody's pitting. What? But the whole reason I call that out is sometimes if you pit away from, if you don't pit with the AI, you can gain a big advantage because they get slowed up on pit road in the congestion. Meanwhile, if you just go by yourself and come out by yourself on fresh tires, you're cruising. We almost spun out Guy Fieri there anyway. I was trying to get on the brake. Well, I made the call to pit with Indiana Jones, so we're staying with it. So we lost some time there. I'm fine with it. Unless I missed something, they've really extended the fuel this run. I did my job. Syncing up the, you know, tuning in the AI. I did my job. I just don't want a weird window at the end of the race. Like I said, we called our shot with Indy. We're going to stay with Indy, pit with Indy. Should have easily just pitted there. Didn't. Now, what's really going to suck is in this last run, we're going to have to be really careful with our tires. Indiana Jones still isn't pitting.
Inside. Clear inside.
I guess, is he trying to lead a lap? Is that what we should do? Should we try to lead a lap here?
You're in the top 10.
Right now we're going to be losing about 1.5 seconds on older versus newer tires. And I mean, Indiana Jones has disappeared into the horizon here. Just awful. Like, we picked the wrong car to pit with, man.
The leader's pitting now. Limit 45. Keep it under 3,500 in second.
Picked the wrong car to pit with. But we'll be fine. I have nothing to write about. Again, this is the second pit stop in a row. Just, I'll be showing some of the racing throughout the field and whatnot, but I mean,
Go, go, go! Limit 45. Keep it under 3,500 in second. Watch
there's
that
just no
speed
action
now. Keep it on 3,500
on the track.
in second.
We're just riding her out here. We're with Indy now, which is good. We had a good stop, apparently. And we'll see if we lost a bunch of track time here.
Okay.
Or track position, yeah. Yeah, there's Prince up there. That was the group we were with. Right? Prince was up there? Yeah, this is the back of the pack here. Ray Finkel, yeah. So, Indy really boned us. But we do have some cars back here. Super Dave. Guy Fieri's behind us. We almost spun him out, as I mentioned.
Stay low.
But we'll be P35-ish, I'd say. 33, so we probably
Clear.
got some help from some other cars as well. Help as in they sucked. Rosie the Riveter still in the lead, but DB Cooper is now P2. No sign of Andy Van Slyke in the top 10. He's P26. We're just trying to get him a top 5, man. I mean, he had 4 restrictor plate races to kind of luck out there and sneak in a top 5. Couldn't. But I think he had a top decent finish at Daytona 500, the first race of the season. Just not top 5. We have a straggler coming off of pit road here. I have no, it might be Homer Simpson because he's been off, you know, yeah. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man not doing himself any favors here. P24 or P33. So he's actually lost spots this race. But, I mean, we've gained spots. Mona Lisa Vito is up in the running. She's running 6-7 spots ahead of us. And I'm thinking we'd still be in the lead over her by a couple points if the race ended right now. But DB Cooper may, who's now in the lead. DB Cooper is now in the lead with 30 to go. He may leapfrog everyone and take the points lead. No, maybe not. I don't know. I have no idea. Is he 20-some points ahead of Stay Puft? Then yeah, because Stay Puft is right on us. And he'd be gaining 20-some points on Stay Puft this race with a win and Stay Puft finishing in the 20s. Oh boy. Yeah, 33rd. Hopefully eventually gain another spot here or two. My goal was to get into the 20s. And I think I tried to start a thought earlier and something cut me off. But this final run, we need 37 laps of tires. Because these are going to be splashes and goes to end this race. With probably about 10 to go, about 17 laps from now, we're going to see pit stops, I think, for a splash and go. Don't hit the wall. We had full damage on this race. I mean, there's just some things. Again, I'm just zoned in right now. I totally forgot to mention the race analysis, as I always do mention it. Yeah, we saw Dave Osborne and Neil Armstrong. They are back behind us. That does not help. They needed a big jump here, because the season is winding down. Tell you what, this is a really solid. I like this Kansas a lot. Feels like we're in Kansas. Looks like there's some plains in the distance. Like, what do you want? Alright, gonna bear down here and focus for a while. Catch you on the flip side. Skipped a chunk there. We have 17 to go. Nothing to write home about. I mean, I'm just focused. I've been talking for, 26 3/4 races this year. It's a lot of talking. We're doing okay with our tires right now. Let's actually turn them off.
No tires this time, guys.
And I think it's just a splash.
We'll give you just a splash of fuel.
Because we'll take 16 laps to, or 17 laps to a can would be 34 laps with 2 cans, and that's the window. And we'll push that down to 16 so we can easily divide that into 4s. A quarter can would be 4 laps. So we'll see. I think that's what we need. We would need 4 laps of fuel. Because we pitted on lap 70, which would take us to lap 104. And then we need 3 more laps, so we'll take 4 more laps. Which is going to be a less than half, obviously, but it doesn't give us the option of a quarter can. So we'll just do a splash. And I am feeling my tires now more so than I want to. I'm kind of losing Tommy Callahan here. But the good thing about our point system is we're at the back of the pack. Doesn't seem like a lot of moves have been able to be made up through the field this race. So it's not like we're in a lot of trouble by not gaining a bunch of spots this race. But why I started that whole thought train there was, imagine us being up at the front of the field right now and needing that good finish to keep pace with the point system, and us mess up this final pit stop somehow. So the pressure's kind of off. We don't have to nail this pit stop. I mean, we're going to be fine, but what sucks is they're going to actually get, we're actually going to lose some spots racing. Our tires just aren't up to snuff toward the end of the run. And it's probably something manageable throughout the run. We would just have to have picture, you know, close to perfect laps. And I'd love to get to that point where we need to be perfect. Or close to perfect. Can't be perfect. Alright, we've kind of settled into a better line now, since we know what we're dealing with our tires. And we're doing a little bit better. I wish we had some kind of car to use as a reference on when to pit for fuel here. And it might just be Neil Armstrong, since he's going to be passing us. Every little bit helps. Neil Armstrong is going to gain a point on the points leader right now. But that's a moving target. I'm not even sure if we'll be in the lead after this. D.B. Cooper may be the leader. Speaking of which, he is in second now. AT&T Lily has jumped back into the lead. Rosie the Riveter's been hanging out up there all race long. We have to be seeing splash and goes here. And my butthole is prepared for them. Let's just not get spun out. Yeah, you can see Neil Armstrong kind of took off. Yeah, we're racing side by side a little bit here, but our tires just aren't what they were.
Clear inside. Car inside. Still there.
Watch Indiana Jones not have to pit or something after we were yelling at him earlier.
Stay high.
But we're definitely pitting for fuel.
Still there.
We're not using him as the gauge. We'll go in.
Clear inside.
We're not going to be gaining 30 spots during these stops, so as soon as we see cars going in, we're going in.
Still there.
If it's realistically, if we're possible to get down that
Still
lap.
there.
Maybe they're not pitting again? They would have to be. The numbers say so. Well, we're just bleeding out here spots wise. I needed these tires. You could see how well pretty much I calculated the tire window, fuel window here. That once we got past that pit window, or we're pretty much on it now. We ran the car a little bit hard, but once you got past that window, it's the Wild West, and I didn't really calculate for it. And they're just better than us. We lost all the positions. We spent all race long gaining, but what a kick in the nuts. I guess no one's pitting. Okay, we got a pitter. Somebody. I mean, if the whole field doesn't pit, we're not pitting. I'm not that delusional. I think we just gained a spot by whatever turd was pitting there. We're going to gain another spot here. Ray Finkel pitting. And I just don't have time to keep an eye on the leaders. If they're just trying to stretch this out or what. Well, we started P35. We might gain a couple spots here from pitters. And be all right. There's another car on pit road, but we've probably already passed them for position. Very interesting that they didn't pit again here. I would have guaranteed that. Is that Rosie down here that had to pit? No, that's Ray. Is that Ray Finkel? Oh. We'll be looking at the results very soon. That was Ray Finkel. We'll be looking at the results here soon. You've already seen who won the race. I haven't seen it. Lily, good job. First win of the season. DB Cooper, P3. Michael Bolton, big top 10.
All right, there's the checkered flag.
All right, all in all, not an eventful race. Tried to have some fun with the field snapshots and whatnot, showing you how the, behind the scenes kind of how that free camera works. We saw that Lily got the win. She also led the most laps. No cautions. I think third race in a row without a caution. Take a look at Mr. Rogers. That is 4 straight top 10s, but also take a look at Michael Bolton. We'll have to look at these points before the next race. No other big. Amelia Earhart's starting to make moves here, but it's just too little too late here in the season. On the second page, we find Wayne Campbell and the Marshmallow Man. And Velma Dinkley made some moves after winning at Talladega, so good for her. Third page, we see Andy Van Slyke finished P21. We're still looking for him to get a top 5 somewhere. And Steve Jobs, P23. Mona Lisa Vito, P27. So she's losing, all these drivers are losing points to Stay Puft, but DB Cooper was back on the first page. I totally didn't talk about him. He's probably going to be in the points lead now. Neil Armstrong, Randy Marshall, they all lost points to the Marshmallow Man, but they also all gained points on us. We finished P35. Super Dave Osborne couldn't make moves. I mean, he was in our same boat pretty much the whole race. Michael Jackson, it just seemed like he stayed a little bit longer on pit road than everybody the one time and just got moved to the back. And then Rosie the Riveter, Happy Gilmore, and Ray Finkel had to pit. I saw on Lily's one lap to go thing I usually do. We saw Rosie the Riveter on the apron. And I was like, is that Rosie the Riveter? But we were actually on a whole different part of the track looking at Ray Finkel coming onto the track. And then poor Homer Simpson, he'll be starting on the pole at Texas. He has to get a top 5 there if he wants to. I mean, if he's serious about winning the Heinz packet, and he has to worry about staying in the top 11 to get into the Legends series. All right, now going into Texas, the storylines. Can Mr. Rogers join the 5-timers club with 5 straight top 10s? We'll see. And we'll take a look at the points before Texas, and there's going to be 3 races to go. I think we're going to be down, I don't know, maybe 20 or so points to either DB Cooper or Stay Puft. Most likely DB Cooper is going to be in the lead, but we'll take a look at those points before Texas. All right, thanks for watching.